Problem gambling. Are the recent legalizations of gambling across the country good or bad? My table of contents include my introduction on slide 1, history of gambling on slide 2, possible threats that gambling poses on slide 3, the pros to legalization of gambling on slide 4, and then slide 5 is my conclusion. According to Merriam-Webster, gambling is defined as the practice of risking money or other stakes in gambling or in a game or bet. Um, Gambling is a wide spectrum. I mean, you use it in conversation daily. I mean, if you're trying to prove your friend wrong, like for example, what color is the Titanic? If your friend says that it's red and you believe otherwise, you can just go, "You want to bet?" Well, obviously that'll make them think twice before they put their money where their mouth is. So you use it in that context. I mean, you use it for you can sports bet, you can go to the casino and play blackjack. I mean, gambling is a very broad spectrum. Um, my next point is gambling disorder is considered by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Health Disorders to be the first non-substance to be listed as a substance abuse disorder. Now, in case you don't know, a substance abuse disorder is something like addiction to marijuana or an addiction to another illegal drug. But in this case, gambling disorder, well, obviously you can't hold gambling in your hands. So it's not a substance, but there is an abuse disorder that comes with gambling if you don't use it in remediation, kind of like with alcoholism. Alcoholism, um, it's there's nothing wrong with you going and drinking alcohol, but same thing with gambling. But if you don't do it in remediation, it can lead to issues down the road with mental health and your actual health. The history of gambling. Um, the first record of gambling was dice that was found in China that was dated back to 2300 BC. And then everyone knows what the 52 card deck is. It's one of the most popular, I guess, games that you can play. Um, and right after that, about 9 years later, 9 years later after the 52 card deck was created, poker was created. But before that, um, there were actually more cards in the deck. I can't remember the exact number, but there were more cards in a deck, and the create blackjack was created in the 1600s, and baccarat was created in the 1400s, which are both extremely popular card games that are being played to this day. So, next slide. Possible threats that gambling poses. Even though the rate at which a person receives the label of a problem gambler is only 2 to 3%, that rate is bound to grow exponentially with the recent legalizations in some states. North Carolina legalized sports betting in June of 2023. So, um, before that, there's a casino in Cherokee, North Carolina, which is actually an Indian reservation, one of the few casinos in North Carolina. I think it's actually the only one. So obviously that gives people a broader range from Wilmington all the way to Cherokee, North Carolina to gamble to some capacity. So it's only logical that the number of problem gamblers are bound to grow as gambling becomes more popular. Next point is when it comes to the nature of gambling, it should be considered when it comes to the nature of gambling that is considered a substance that can be abused. This needs to be thought about as something similar to the legalization of marijuana in some states. Take, for example, California. California, in California, marijuana is legal there. Unlike sports betting is legal in California. Well, vice versa, at North Carolina, sports betting is legal, but smoking marijuana isn't. So governors or senators need to consider the pros and cons of gambling in order to make the decision of whether it's worth it in order to allow its citizens to gamble. And we'll see the pros here in just a second. In 2023, the gross revenue for casinos was $66.5 billion, which provides a positive impact on our economy. Not only does it provide a good impact on our economy, the government is going to take a chunk out of that revenue as well. So these funds that the government is getting, well over a couple $1 billion, these funds can be allocated to make new government buildings, can be sent to our military. I mean, the possibilities are endless whenever the government can get their hands on this vast amount of money. Another point I'd like to bring up is, who are we to tell another human being what he can or can't purchase? A person can buy tobacco products that are proven to cause cancer, but it isn't illegal to buy it. Same thing with alcohol. I mean, a person can abuse alcohol, but when it when a person drinks alcohol and does it in remediation, there's nothing wrong with that. So, same thing with gambling. I mean, if you gamble every once in a while, it's not going to hurt you too bad, but it's about remediation. Remediation is key when it comes to drinking alcohol or gambling. The amount of people that are actually labeled as problem gamblers, which is about 2 to 3%, are so small, does it even matter? Um, you got to think about it like this. Almost half of the United States, state-wise, have have not legalized sports betting. So you gotta take off half of the U.S. population right there, and then another chunk of the U.S. population don't even gamble at all. So that's another chunk of people that are of the population that should not be counted. So that 2 to 3%, granted, it's still a couple thousand people, but that's rather insignificant to the hundreds of millions of people that live in the United States. So, does it even really matter if a couple thousand people are problem gamblers that can just get help? So, that's just another thing that needs to be up for debate. And my conclusion, there are many types of gambling that need to be considered on what should be legal and not legal, like sports betting, casinos, and lotteries. Well, the lottery it is considered a form of gambling. If you think about it, you put a dollar, if you pay a dollar for a scratcher, you're putting a dollar in and expecting more money to come out, even though the chances are slim to none. That's still considered betting. I mean, by definition, that is betting, gambling. So that was created in 1776 to raise funds for the Revolutionary War. So gambling has been around for a long time and legal for a long time. My final 2 points are: North Carolina legalized sports betting in June of 2023, and some states still haven't legalized sports betting, like South Carolina, Texas, and Georgia. I'd like to say thank you for spending your time and watching my video, and here is my bibliography.